Right. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. How have you been feeling, Donna? How's things for you?
Good.
You good? You good? I was kind of amused when you said, "Oh, your boss was there." So, what's he doing at the work on July 4th?
I know. He was finishing unpacking the boxes. We're still getting settled in our new.
Right.
Yeah. He had to go out to Home Depot and get shelves and things, so he was putting those up.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, I'm assuming he was happy to see you there. Yes.
Yeah.
All
He got
right.
a few done.
Good, good. I was thinking about that. It made me think in terms of our conversation yesterday. In terms of that worthiness. I know that's not exactly the feeling, but it connects. So I was thinking, what makes you a valuable employee?
You're asking me that question?
Well, kind of. I'll just leave it open for a while because here's the thing: most people, when they apply for a job or when they think of how they do, they think of their skills and their abilities and their experience and things like that. But I've been an employer, and I'm assuming you have some experience and perspective on this yourself. The most
I do.
important thing, the most important thing, at least for sensible employers, is they look at character. Yes,
Right.
you can have experience. Like for instance, you hire a salesman; they can be the world's best salesman, but if they're dishonest, they're going to end up ruining your business eventually, right?
Right.
So it doesn't matter. So in other words, the key things that really matter are those base core characteristics, the inner qualities that matter. For instance, being honest. I just a simple one, being diligent, being thorough, being punctual, all of those things, caring about what you're doing, taking an interest in your work, and so on and so forth. All of those qualities, all of them which you possess, right?
Right.
Now, in the same way as it goes to being a valuable employee, those same qualities, that caring, that understanding, that sensibility, all those things, it's the same when it comes to interacting with people. That's what matters, not being able to fit in the sense of knowing what's cool or what's not cool or all the other stuff, what's going on necessarily in politics or music or movies or whatever the hell. None of that matters. Only the same things matter, those underlying qualities of self, right? That's going on inside you. The qualities of being earnest, being sincere, being gracious, being good, being caring, all of those things. Yes, that's what matters, right?
That is what matters. Yes. I,
I had a friend who was applying for a job that she was really keen to get with the parent company of WordPress. Really cool company to work for. One of the modern companies, and they have a deeper sensibility. They're not just all in it for the money. They want to actually do good and so on. Anyway, she says, yeah, but I don't necessarily have the experience. I said, you know what? You're a fantastic, awesome person. She's just like you, very much the same. Um, just wonderful, and a deep caring and a sincerity, and they make an effort to do things and all this. I said, look, you just be you, and if they got half a brain and they see who you are, they see how much you care, see how earnest you are, see how diligent you are, all your good character qualities, they're not going to care all that much about your experience, because that stuff you can always learn. But you can't learn character qualities overnight, right? You can't do it. Doesn't happen. That's very difficult to do. That takes a sustained effort, not just sustained effort, but also somebody who really is interested in doing so. Crappy people, it's like, they couldn't be bothered, right? So that's
correct.
immensely valuable. I mean, it's super, super precious. So I just wanted to catch up on that, just to put you and yourself in terms of self appreciation and self acceptance, but mainly self appreciation. Put it all in context. Yeah.
Yes.
Does that help, Donna?
Yes, it does.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, you gotta appreciate yourself. For good people, it's really hard to do. We train so much in society to not do that. Especially earnest good people. We think that it's somehow wrong to appreciate ourselves. No, it isn't. It's just a matter of honesty, right?
Right.
And when we're being absolutely impeccable, that's the key. That's the difference. Impeccability demands we appreciate ourselves. You seem very thoughtful today, Donna. What you thinking about?
Um, no, I hold those truths. I have said them all, and I am actually those things most of the time. It's it's kind of not really circumstances like at work, like your typical my boss doesn't appreciate me thing. It's more of what that tells me about what's going on with my inner self versus the actual circumstance itself. And so I try to step back and say, okay, what is this situation kind of projecting out there that's going on inside of me? And what I tried to convey, and I'm not sure I did it very well, is just my one thing. I appreciate myself. I think I'm pretty awesome. I think everyone's pretty awesome. I really do.
Yes, I
I
agree. Yes.
I see brilliance in everyone. I see beauty in everyone.
Yes.
My struggle is I get anxiety and butterflies, and it has something to do with alone. Like I had a life that was very worldly, and I was very unaware, and I existed, and I was content, and I was happy, and I had a family and a house and the car and the job, yada yada yada.
Right.
And then some things happened, and I had nothing, and my whole world turned upside down. And then I started this process, and everything that I had beliefs about shifted. Everything was literally flipped upside down. So it's taken me a few years to get my bearings, to really understand who I really am. And I do understand that. I have a challenge at times with the people that were in my life, or relationships like friendships, my children, the people that I used to know when I was the old me. And now I don't really have that friendship group or support group that understands my flipped world. I like you do, I know that. And I do know that there's maybe a handful of people that kind of understand where I'm coming from when I'm talking about my higher self and being connected to universal consciousness, but not many. And so I feel like maybe it's an integration, like I'm sort of still.
Yes.
And so at times, like, I really feel like if I didn't reach out to my kids, for example, or sometimes I feel alienated from people that I used to have relationships with, that I could literally be on an island and nobody would know that I was even gone. And that makes me have an anxiety and anxiousness. And then there's part of me that's like,
that's interesting.
Sometimes I don't care.
Oh, brilliant.
Sometimes all I need is me. And it doesn't matter about that stuff. So that's the one area that I seem to like, but wait, I want friends. I want to be able to relate. I want to be able to offer relation and love to people, and have relationship and offer love to my kids. So that's what I was trying to communicate. Is that what you picked up the other day?
Right. I did get that, but you re-explaining it, I get it more, and you get it more. So the re-explanations are always incredibly powerful. We can never do it enough. It's amazing to me, until we fully got the issue resolved. So there's never ever a problem with re-explaining. It's always fantastic. I mean, didn't you just get more clarity on yourself through that re-explanation?
I did.
And that's exactly what these sessions, and the weekly, the 2 weekly takeaway sessions that we do, it's exactly for this, so that we recap, we go over it again, and we get more clarity. We recap, we get more clarity, and each time we add, we get closer and closer to that center point over there. So it's very powerful. Plus, what you've said, if we take all of that and we just leave it right there, yes, connected to what I was saying before, and the self-worth, and that's there, and just find the balance. But still, the part that's unresolved, just we're going to leave it right there and use that as a phenomenal kind of a pressure and a focus on the session that we're going to do. And you'll see what I mean. So everything you said about this connecting, not connecting, being alone, being with people, that whole kind of conundrum, and that, so there's that lack of understanding, that there's a pressure there, there's an intent to understand and figure it out and get that resolved. So that desire for resolution, we're going to use that and connect it to the module and see how it makes sense in terms of what all you just said.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's very excellent. It's very excellent. All right. All right. So a nice way to do this is that, two ways to do this, I guess. Let me put this full screen. And this is where I actually make them. This is irrelevant here. It's just in case sometimes I go through that and I see something and something I edit as we go through it, which is kind of nice. Not that it needs editing, but occasionally I'll add something in addition to it, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, just sometimes like you say something and it helps the understanding. Say, oh, you know what? That will expand. That will improve the thing a little bit. Okay, so I edit in. So I can edit as we go along. But I can either read these or you can read them. It's actually, I prefer it if you read it, because then, as you read it, you also kind of thinking through, and, you're reading it to make sense for you, not just to read it for me to hear. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Sure.
So you read it, and then I'll move forward as we go along.
Okay.
You can see fine?
I can see how it
Okay.
all makes sense.
Okay.
And
yeah.
you want me to read the little print too? Okay.
Yeah.
An overview perspective from which we have understanding.
Yes. Understanding. Yeah. Emphasized understanding. Yeah.
I'm gonna make my screen a little bigger. What's the biggest motivation of our life?
Okay. Brilliant. And note well, it's our life, not your life,
Right.
my life, our life. So it's a general thing.
Right.
You know what? I think I should put that in italics now that I think of it. I like italics. It is in italics. It just doesn't show there. Oh, well, I'll put it in bold then. Oh, because the whole quote is in italics. That's right. All right. There we go.
Life motivation. Motivation varies much from individual to individual. And if we examine why, it seems random. However, and since we ask what our motivation is, that's an entirely different matter. Temporary motivations, no matter how long they may last, are different to life motivations and overview motivations, which might apply to all.
We all good? I mean, I think that sort of like, I'm not sure, or, I'll just keep going, so just let me know if you have something that kind of, I'm not quite sure what you mean there, and then we discuss it a bit. Otherwise, because it's pretty obvious here, it's pretty simple. We're going to just look at big picture motivations, right? Life motivations, overview motivations. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Most of the time, what I'm putting out, or at least we try and do it to be pretty obvious, because that's the whole thing that we're trying to achieve. We're trying to make the obvious obvious. We're just bringing awareness to the obviousness, right? As we discussed before.
Right. What's the difference? Regular motivation typically applies to its field of influence only, whereas life motivation applies to absolutely everything we do.
Important distinction, right?
Yep.
I mean, we do want life motivation as well as just local motivations. And
right.
So now to bring it back to what you were saying earlier, in that particular context, there's a local or an immediate or a temporary motivation, like a shorter term motivation of potentially wanting to connect with people, right? And so we're going to look at that. No, I'm not saying it's that there's anything wrong with that motivation. No, absolutely not. We are simply going to look to see, hey, what about my life motivations, and how does this motivation connect to relative to the life motivation once we've kind of sorted out what the life motivation might be. And then we start to see relevance and connectivity, and it starts to fall into place. So we'll just keep that in mind and look at that, what you were saying, from the point of view of motivation. Yeah?
Okay.
It's going to help us here.
We have to be careful. Like, for instance, with the innate motivation we have to be happy, this motivation can become distorted when we latch onto misbeliefs such as ego, attention, superiority, dominance, and so on. Those might seem like they may lead to happiness, and many mistakenly believe so, but they are only counterproductive in the longer term. They only seem like a way to achieve happiness because of ignorance and unawareness. What we need is motivation based on what's real to us.
That's important, yeah?
Yes.
I just want to check something real quick. I'm just going to hop out of the screen share for 1 second. Okay. No, it's all good. And these temporary motivations, if we take this now and what seems to make us happy and apply it to that motivation of, I'm just going to, for argument's sake, use fitting in as a general term. It's not the entirety of the issue, because there's other things that are involved. There's being alone, there's all sorts of other things. But we want to look at this and say, is this really where my happiness is going from, or is it a portion of my happiness, and is there happiness I can get from more than that? So it's, again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that motivation. We do want to be appropriate, we do want to fit in, we do want to connect to people, and so on and so forth. However, we want to say, but that's not the only motivations. There are potentially more motivations, right? That's what we're about. That's what we're about. We're saying there's more. Why? Because there's always more. We love more. It's always capital M more for us, by the way. We'll talk a lot about that more going forward. All right.
It's all about awareness. This brings us to the biggest motivation of our lives, which is the development and enhancement of awareness. We can even go as far as saying developing, enhancing awareness is the point and purpose and meaning of life.
All right, so yeah, I kind of need a sound effect to go ta-da, and have a big orchestra play or something, ba 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 bam, or something like that, because this is a huge point right here, right?
Right.
I mean, we've now basically just said something that's really profound and monumental. I mean, we're saying, hey, you know what? The meaning and purpose of life is the development and enhancement of awareness. It's like, whoa, it kind of slips in here very casually, but this is a really profound, big deal that we've just said now, no?
Yes, it is.
And
it seems so simple.
I love it. Yes, it is. It is so simple, exactly. But we've said two things, though. We've not only declared what is the meaning and purpose of life, we're also saying it's our biggest motivation of our lives. So two things, right? That's the point and purpose of it, and it's also our biggest motivation, or can be. And that's really, really powerful. So, I mean, for one thing, it's all right. We'll explain a little bit on that as we go forward. But at this point, there's somewhat like we're making a declaration, and yet typically we don't like to say, hey, stuff that sort of, believe what I'm saying. And, if you think it through, this idea of the development and enhancement of awareness being the point and purpose and meaning of life, it's somewhat self-evident when you think it through, but it's kind of a lot to just grab automatically. But for the moment, we can just sort of say, okay, I'll take your word for it, and I'll believe without believing, right?
Oh, I believe and I understand.
I know you do,
maybe not.
Right.
Maybe not the depth that you do, that's for sure. But
Right.
I have a simple understanding.
Right. Right. But what I mean is, I know you do understand this, and it's very self-evident. And anybody who, that's why I didn't make such a big point when we put this in here, why we didn't say, you know what, this is how it works and why, and make a big explanation. Because if you think it through, it becomes self-evident. And anybody who's done a little bit of thinking and who looks at life, it becomes self-evident. Again, we're just making the obvious obvious. So we're doing the connectivity here, though, is that we on motivation. That's the key. Life motivation, right? Or overview motivation. That's what we're about, actually. Not necessarily this point about the development and awareness being the meaning and purpose of life. It's kind of a bonus.
Got it. When we look closely at unhappiness, misery, cruelty, abuse, any kind of badness, what lies at the root of it all? Lack of awareness every time. Yep. When we look at why we aren't happy, it's the same reasons we don't know. We are unaware of what to do to be happy, how to be, capital B-E, to be happier.
Right.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
thing, just unawareness, right? Lack of awareness. Very simple, very obvious again. We love the obvious.
Yeah. The solution across all aspects of happiness to reduce misery and increase happiness lies in being more aware. When you are specifically motivated to be more aware, this changes our lives considerably.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. And again, I do like to emphasize this. Just, yes, it is so simple what we're saying here, but we have to shift our brains to make that connectivity with sometimes the ridiculously simple is also a profound big deal. These are life-changing, absolutely radically life-changing, simple conceptions and understandings. Yes?
Yes.
I mean, it's so obvious. Okay, to reduce misery and being unhappiness, be more aware. When you hear it, it's like, yeah, duh. But 2 seconds ago, it wasn't a duh, right? It wasn't there. So that's the key thing, to understand that when we really look at these things, they are all profoundly life transformative. And we have to understand and emphasize them inside our brains to make that connectivity to say, whoa, yeah, it's simple, but it's also really, really awesome. And it's sublime and it's transformative and it's a massive big deal. Yes?
Yes.
All right. Brilliant. Let's carry on.
Being more aware connects us to more options, more choices, more opportunities, more possibilities, more of everything, more, our higher self, more
Yes,
equals
yes.
more.
Keep going. I love it. I love it when you read and then you add stuff of your own. Oh, it's a great joy. So yeah, please feel free.
The bigger picture. We also connect to less, as in less risk, less stress, less trouble, less misery, especially that created by our own lack of awareness. Because if you are
Yes.
aware and you're connected to your higher self, there is no opportunity for any of that. It's just not there. You're just
Exactly.
being. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. Life is easy. you once upon a time, Olivia and I had stores with lots of employees, and one of the stores we had was a sword and knife store. And it's just, well, a sword and knife store. You can imagine the typical employee that I would have. I love them, but the guys tended to be somewhat, in the knucklehead range. Let's just say it nicely. Anyway. So I would say, whatever, something that I would say life is easy. It's just something that I've said all my life because I really do believe that. They said, what do you mean life is easy? I said, of course life is easy. No, it's not. I said, yeah, life is easy. Living might be a bit harder, but life is easy. Just look around you. There's life all around you. So life is easy. So living might be harder, but life,
Right.
that's it.
That's a whole nother story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're going to be, through the course, we are going to transform the struggles of living into them also being easy, and not just easy, but joyful. Not necessarily always easy, but we're going to enjoy whatever it is. Because think of it this way, when we're playing a game, right? Those games aren't easy, they're difficult. In fact, for most game players, if the game is too easy, they complain like hell.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right.
So we're going to learn to enjoy the challenges of life and see life as this game. So we're going to transform in that sense. But anyway, I digress somewhat just on that life is easy point.
No, I gotcha. And if
Yes.
you can embrace contrast, and if you can embrace the lessons that other people call as bad or challenging, then you've kind of, I don't know, flipped it upside down to the way it's supposed to really be.
Exactly. You've waved that magic wand of perspective shifting, and boom, the whole world is transformed. It's really
Right.
profound. Yeah.
Yeah. And I stay there most of the time.
Right. Right.
Once we shift to developing, enhancing our awareness as life motivation, something extraordinary happens, something easy to verify once we make that shift. But it has to be tested to be proven to oneself.
You know what? This is a kind of a leading statement here. So I'm kind of leading the witness here, Your Honor. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay. We'll get into legalese since you're in the legal profession. There you go. Now it makes more sense, right?
Right.
Yeah, it just to indicate that it is a leading statement. It's not self-contained. I do enjoy the law. I can tell you some wonderful stories of but another time. And I was never in trouble with the law, but I did have a lot to do with the law as a kid. So, but never in trouble though. But anyway, I'll tell you a quick little story. So the reasons for being involved was our parents' divorce, and there was this long ongoing battle. Anyway, and it just kept on going and going and going. And so that's how I came to be involved. But this one lawyer, just before he quit to become a missionary, quit in disgust at the law. He said to me, and I was, I don't know, like 14 or something at the time. He says, "The law is a whore. She screws everyone." That was the last thing he said. Never saw him again. So I thought that was kind of interesting for a lawyer to say, right?
It was pretty profound.
Yeah, it's pretty profound. I thought it was very cool, especially since he went off to become a missionary. It stuck with me, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, all right. So here we go.
A most worthwhile effort to make to test this remarkable fact of life when we become immersed in awareness, when awareness becomes our prime motivation, the motivation to motivate motivations, our root motivation, our biggest motivation, if we pay attention, we notice everything in life is geared to assisting us in this motivation of awareness growth.
Yeah. So to read that last line again, everything in life is geared to assisting us in this motivation of awareness growth. So I'm just really saying, just to say it in another way, I just for to get a handle on it. I know it's obvious, but it's really, this is a huge point. So we're saying that, hey, life itself helps us with our prime motivation. If that's if our prime motivation is awareness growth or the advancement and development of our awareness. If that's our motivation, it coincides with life's motivation, the motivation of life itself, or we could say life intent or the intent of the universe. And there's this amazing thing that we become aware of. We then come to realize that everything in life, it's like life is this big mechanism, this big school, and it's geared intensely and precisely to help us and assist us in developing and enhancing our awareness. This is very key, that word assist. That's a very, very powerful word here, because when we understand that it's there only to assist us, that makes a big difference. Not to give us the answers, but to assist us. And why does it have to only assist us? Because if it were to give us the answers, then we'd basically be getting programming. If you get an answer like that from the universe or from God or whatever, you can't not follow it. You're going to have to do it because it comes from such a profound source. So that's the same as programming, right? And then
Right. We're
you're not
trying to not be programmed any longer.
exactly. And there's a profound reason for the fact that we don't want to be programmed, or the universe doesn't want to program us. Why? Because then our awareness will be bogus. We'll be a robot. So
Right.
we have to learn, and we have to acquire and develop and enhance and grow our awareness for ourselves, by ourselves. We can get assistance, yes. We can get clues, hints, tips, magic, all sorts of hints and suggestions and prompts and cues, all that stuff we can get. But at the end, we have to put it together for ourselves. That's
Right.
really, really
And that's
critical.
the growth lies.
Exactly. And this ties into the discussion we had yesterday about anomalies. That is the underlying logic and sensibility of anomalies. It's exactly the same thing that happens. Those anomalies, we have to figure them out for ourselves in context and to make sense of them, because their purpose is for awareness growth. Everything. But here's the key exciting factor, obviously, is just to restate it. It's the fact that now we are not looking at life as just life and something that we have to kind of survive and, fight against. No, life suddenly now is this profound mechanism to do exactly what we want to do. It wants to help us and assist us in our prime motivation, which is the motivation of awareness growth. How exciting and cool is that?
It is. And I do want to get there and stay there. I get there.
Right.
But sometimes those anomalies, they make me angry because I feel like, oh, what didn't I get the first time? What am I still learning? What do I need to still be aware of?
I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to laugh, but I like the fact. I mean, I don't know. You just caught me when you said that anomalies make you angry. I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it does. That's fascinating. Yes, we're going to shift that, and it's just a perspective shift. And here's the thing, though. I hear you on what I didn't get the first time, but there's always more. And that's such a profound thing. We'll say that over and over again. There's always more. And that's the thing. When you get that anomaly again, it's not necessarily that you didn't learn it the first time. It's just that you get it again so that you can repeat it and put it into practice. Because when we said earlier about realizations, like with memes, they come and they go, those realizations. So we need to see them again, to apply them, to incorporate them, to assimilate them, to get them where we can live them and feel them. That's the key. All of the stuff, we have to feel it. If we don't feel it, it's not real. Write that in your dictionary.
I say that I want it, and then the universe is helping me and assisting me. Assisting is a better word. In doing that through those kinds of things. And then I turn around and I get mad. The universe is probably like, what do you want, woman? Do you want to know how to expand and grow or not?
As we go along, I promise it will all make more sense, Donna. It absolutely will. And I love that you corrected yourself when you said helping. You said, assisting is a better word. That's really, 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 really a huge, most awesome habit. Watching the preciseness of our self-expression. We'll get into it later. There's a whole session about it. Because that self-talk, that is something that we try to make true. Why? Because we are honest people. So, okay, in this case, it doesn't really apply, but let's say, like you said, something, oh, you know what, I have a bad temper. Well, if you say that, you're an honest person. You're going to make an effort to make that true.
Right.
So we tend to make that a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if we have to really watch that expression to be really precise. But you were being very discerning when you said the difference between help and assist. Because help tends to be, where you give somebody the answer, you give them the solution. Whereas assist, they got to do it themselves too, right? And it's a very profound difference. I'm not a great fan of helping at all. As a matter of fact, I'm somewhat, maybe even a little anti-helping. Assist, yes. But helping, no. You got to be there for yourself, and you got to. Otherwise, you actually don't do this person a favor. You may have, you see lots of charities where they help people in that way, and they just make things worse all the time.
I agree. Got it.
So discernment. Yeah, I love it. And Donna, I do know that you really do get these things, and I repeat the obvious, even once it's obvious, and I repeat what you already know and what I already know. Why? Because of emphasis. So just kind of know that. I'm not repeating because I don't think you don't understand. I'm actually repeating because I think you do understand.
Okay,
It's about the emphasis. When we really emphasize stuff in our brains, we're telling our brains, hey, this stuff is important. Listen up, brain, listen up. And the brain says, oh, it's important. Wow. What does it do? It literally enlarges the nodes in your brain. It actually starts to rewire your brain. And through that rewiring, the whole brain changes. That enlarged node connects to other nodes. They connect to more nodes. Everything starts clicking and working. And that's how we actually change. If we don't have that emphasis, then it pretty much just stays the same. And the brain says, so what? It's same old. And it just files it in the basement or somewhere. we want this stuff to say, hey, brain, this is important. We want this front and center. So that's the purpose of this, and why I like doing these together with people, because of that emphasis.
Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying that.
No problem. No problem. It's very powerful, very important, that emphasis. It's a real magical thing. I mean, it's an incredible tool, emphasis. It's quite remarkable. Okay, so now we said two incredible things. We said one, the meaning and purpose of life is the enhancement and development of awareness. Whoa, big deal. Then we've also said, well, and we've also saying that's our motivation for ourselves, and just for people in general. We're taking that to be our prime root life motivation, being the enhancement of awareness, which makes it the meaning and purpose of life. Fantastic. Then we said the other really huge big deal we're saying is this point we're making here, that life itself is this mechanism, this giant school that helps us and assists us, just assists us and assists us in this life goal of ours. And that's quite fantastic. So we've got two profound, huge, life-changing points. They're obvious when we point them out. But you know what? You go and ask people what the meaning of life is, and they're like, they have no idea. So you can't figure out the meaning of life. It's impossible to know. No, it's not. It's very simple. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have an answer to that.
Right.
There's all kinds of answers
Right.
out there.
Exactly. They are, but for the most part, in the general public, I was meaning, they don't really have an answer for it. Or if they do, they never really say it with complete, absolute assurance. And it's not an answer that's a self-proving or self-defining or self-obvious answer, self-evident. That's what we want. That's what we strive for. Throughout the whole course, that's what we're looking for. We want to share with you self-evident sensibilities. So those 2 points, really, when we think them through, they are self-evident sensibilities, or a self-telling story, in other words. Same thing, right?
Right.
Very, very huge. All right. Okay. Let's go on.
Regardless of how or why it is so.
Oh, there's a top on.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. No problem.
I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's a truly remarkable awareness, which soon develops into an understanding, regardless of how or why it is so. If we look at the world and what happens in our lives from this perspective, we soon notice that everything we encounter in some way assists us in the development and the enhancement of our awareness. That's so true.
Right. And again, you see this mechanism, we employ it a lot. This slide is basically just sort of repeating what's said. Right. Just emphasis again, restating it so that we can connect to it.
Got it. Makes sense. Things which didn't make sense now start to make sense. Make sense. There we go. Make sense of life. Making sense of life is a profound shift of being, one which leads to more and more and more.
We love the more.
Right? Yeah, we do love the more.
Yeah.
Happiness and much, much, much more. Yeah. The more life makes sense, the more wonder and marvel we connect to. Yeah.
It's just it's so simple, but it's just huge. The more it makes sense, not just wonder and marvel, but awesome, grace, the profound, awe, the magical, the transformative, the exquisite, just all sorts of wonderful stuff. We love superlatives. We delight in superlatives.
There's a lot more to that slide than meets the eye, that's for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Awareness. Once we connect awareness to everything, we see how everything assists us in developing and enhancing our own awareness. It's it's all part of the whole circular,
Exactly, but it's an infinity loop rather than a circle. We say the more aware we are, the more we become aware of how profound and awesome awareness is, which makes us more aware, which makes us more aware of how profound, and so it goes. It's an infinity loop rather than a circle. I mean, yes, it is kind of a circle, but it's an infinity loop. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are infinity loops, and we like that concept of the infinity loop. And we aim for that. We want the things that we put in motion to be, rather than a circle, we want them to be infinity loops. That's why there's always more, because we are deliberately setting our systems to be infinity loops. And they'll come in many places, we'll do that. Now, awareness is one such infinity loop. It gives us benefit now, but that benefit now leads to more benefit, which leads to a greater awareness of benefit, and so on it goes, and it's that infinity loop. So we're enjoying the maximum now, we're enjoying the wonder, the fullness, the fantasticness of the more in the now, but we never get tired of it. Why? Because there's always more. So we have the best of both worlds. Right?
Gotcha.
Very
Right.
exciting. Very exciting. Do you like the slides, by the way, and the pictures and stuff?
I do. I
Oh,
do.
good.
They're good.
Good, good. Yeah, we try and put them in and do a lot to make them connect, and it's quite a challenge to find them all and that. But anyway, we have fun doing it. So okay.
Once we start with the motivation of awareness, that motivation and the awareness, which results, leads to more and more motivations, adding to our original motivation, everything starts to connect. We connect to the bigger picture. The bigger picture and life itself connects to us personally, intimately. We find happenings which are so exquisitely just exactly what is appropriate for the development and enhancement of our awareness and what we individually, intimately need to learn and develop. It's truly amazing and wonderful.
And that's the secret. That's really the thing. It's that personalness of it. That's what makes this whole system so sublime. And this is what, going forward, Donna, that's what we're going to really focus on looking at the things in your life and your happenings, and to really make that connection, to translate what's going on, to translate it to how it is absolutely personally and intimately, thoroughly and exquisitely, precisely appropriate for exactly what you, Donna, need at that point in time, at this moment in your life. That's the magic we're going to connect to. And we're going to say, whoa, I get it now. It all fits into place. And typically, the process for doing that, oh gosh, hiccups again. The process for doing that is one of simply expanding the focus of our awareness to look at things in a more greater overview, abstract, life overall context. That's how come we typically lose the connectivity but to those lessons that life is giving us. Yes, we've got to look at now what's going on, but we have to connect our now to the overall. So always we're looking at it in our life context, but our life context as it applies right now. So it's that spectrum that we're putting. Yes, it applies right now, but in the context of our life overall. So we have to do both. We have to keep that overview perspective and in the now, both together. Yeah? That
Yep.
makes sense? All right, we'll see going forward as we go. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you there. As we go forward, we'll see exactly how that applies.
Okay.
It's a different way of thinking.
Yeah. It's the integration part that I know that's the part
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Not always nice because sometimes we are foolish. Jeez, that's truth. And stubborn and reluctant to learn. Yeah. Then life will assist us in gaining that awareness we need in not so pleasant ways. We're making the motivation of our awareness and prime motive, our life motivation, helps us inordinately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in other words, if we don't learn, life comes give you that smack upside the head or the kick up the butt and say, hey, wake up, bloody hell, But on the converse, if we get ahead of the game and we start to learn deliberately and we look for learning and we're eager for learning, man, then good is also nice. Then learning becomes magical and a joy. So life rewards us inordinately and profoundly when we want to learn and we learn, of our own accord, and we're proactive in our learning. It's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. Sorry, I'm going to segue here just for one little second here because it's my Mr. A. It's like an unresolved thing, see? So, and it's an energy drainage point. If I don't like ask you real quick, I'm assuming your boss is a nice boss, or hopefully.
What do you mean?
Is it just you like your boss? You're happy with your boss? He's a nice fellow. He's a good guy.
He's a nice person. Yeah.
All right, that's all I wanted to know. Just sets me at ease. I just feel like you should be in a job where you like your boss and where your boss is a nice person. I know.
Oh.
Just seems right. So I'm hoping so. Anyway, but you said he's a nice enough person, so all right. That's good enough. That's good enough.
It's just law.
Yeah,
That
yeah. But I mean,
law.
as a person himself, you know what I mean?
He himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, he's a decent person. He's not a squirrely guy or something like that.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Because that's important to work for somebody that you do feel is at bottom, is at root, is a good person. Because otherwise it can make, especially for good people like yourself, it make your life very miserable to work for somebody who isn't that way. Yeah.
Been there before. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean then. All right. I just wanted to put my heart at ease to say, okay, Donna's working in a nice place and a good person. All right. Okay.
Because when we recognize the grand scheme of it all, we stop fighting. Did you make these up just for me or what?
Yes, just for you. Precisely just for you. It's the universe. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And yes, I mean, I'm joking somewhat, but they truly are just for you. They really are. That because when we connect to the profound, it's always just for us. That's the whole way life works. The whole world and universe, it actually does revolve around the individual. We'll get to it. It goes on a little further.
No, I gotcha. I'm aware. Because when we recognize the grand scheme of it all, we stop fighting the learning and we learn to recognize when we're resisting learning, when we're resisting learning. We learn to recognize the forces of life and how to use them, connect to them, and why and where they lead us, guide us, and are beneficial to us. So
Yes.
that's perspective flip that I'm
Yes,
working
yes,
on.
yes, yes. And this is precisely for you also. Because you see now here, forces of life. That
Right,
forces of life in your context, it takes on a much deeper meaning than it does for most people. Yes, actually, I shouldn't say most people, but, well, most people in the world at large. The people who do the course typically, so far, they have an understanding of moreness. But and so they do understand when we say forces of life, it's like the stuff that you're connecting to, that you're having your visions about, that's pressing on you on your life. There's a moreness, a profound, deep moreness, other than just the moreness of the material, for instance. So
right.
forces of life here in this context, it's a really big deal and takes on a deeper significance. So we're going to
Got
learn
it.
how to use them, connect to them, and why and where they lead us, guide us, and are beneficial to us.
Excellent. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, where did you go? You dropped off. You must have lost the connection. The connection just dropped on us. So not that you can hear me, but for the interim and our recording. So we'll just wait till you reconnect again. No problem.
Something that will become my own. that will help me exactly where I need to know. It will assist me in exactly where I need the most assisting that I see, that I'm aware
Yes, yes,
of.
yes, yes,
That
yes, yes,
integration, and
yes,
if I don't let it like simmer inside myself and really take it in and do that, I'm not gonna
yes, yes, yes.
benefit as I can.
The key
So,
words you said, and write them in big caps in your dictionary of power: making it my own.
right,
I cannot overemphasize how critically, vitally, thoroughly, fundamentally, awesomely important that is. It is what makes the difference, and it is a focus of the course. It's precisely on that. We're not trying to teach you anything. Hell no, that's a waste of time. If you don't make it your own, it's never going to become power.
right,
That's what you want. You want
right,
this knowing to be power, and it becomes
right,
power when you make it your own. Not just make it your own, but make it your own thoroughly and conclusively. And that is why when we start these takeaway sessions, I like to ask you where you at and to give me a repeat back. So when we come back next time, I'm very keen for you to take this particular session and to explain it to me as if I'd never heard anything about this before. Like I know nothing about it. Like you are now literally, and yeah, I would very much like you to actually teach it back to me in that
okay,
modality. Yes, we don't care for teaching generally because it's presumptive, to assume what somebody wants. But in that context, we do want it. Because when you are, when somebody asks you to teach it to them, then it's appropriate to teach. So I'm asking you to come back and to teach it back at me. Because if you can teach this to somebody, that means you own it, it's yours, you know it
right,
fully and thoroughly, and you are going to then be teaching me what you believe, not what I believe. Right? You're not telling me
where
what
it
I
becomes
said. No. You're teaching me your understanding of it, how you've made it your own. And that is
mhm,
the key. That's how we change. That's how we grow. That's how we develop. That's how we integrate and fit all those pieces together. That's the magic key. And, that is so fundamentally gratifying that you get that. Get it so deeply and fundamentally. It's huge. It's a very, very big deal. Because what you just said, that's the application, right?
right.
And without application,
It
it's all
doesn't become
meaningless.
your own. It's only knowing, and there's no power behind it.
Exactly. It's all meaningless without the application. Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. So I want
Cool.
to
Got
I want to do the screen share for you here again. Now, this is just a simplified mind map that one that I did yesterday. I don't have all the character things. I took them out just to give a simplified one. But again, we want all this abstract understanding and this conceptualizing it. This application to get to real self, that is making it our own. And you know what? I should add that into this here. I should say making it our own, as the connecting link. Because that's the key. That's the key. And you see how it all leads down here. All those arrows end up towards the power. And then once we have power, we can connect to more because we're going to insist on extracting the more. But that's the key. It's power. And when we say power, it's personal power, which means it's yours, it's mine, you own it. Because that conception, yes, that explanation of how the universe works, meaning and purpose of life, our prime motivation, all that, those don't belong to anyone. They are self-evident sensibilities that belong to everyone. They belong to the universe. They just is. So we can say it's not somebody else's idea. Making it your own, it becomes your own, and now it's your truth, and that's the key to everything. Yeah.
nice. Yes, that's
I
excellent.
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying that's excellent,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and it's in it's understandable, and it's something you can apply, and
Why?
it won't just be words that you have a intellectual knowledge about. I want
Exactly.
more than that. I
Exactly.
want more.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what, Donna? The reason why I want you to explain it back to me, to teach it back to me as if I have no clue, is because right now you understand it, right? And you know it. However, the brain is a very funny thing. And memory is very tricky. We believe we know because we've heard and because we've had a realization, but that's not always the case. How often hasn't it been in the past where you thought you knew something, but then when you had to explain it to somebody, suddenly you struggled, right?
Right.
So
Right.
when that's the final kind of a test for how actually thoroughly it's our own. When we are able to explain it to somebody else, and especially if we can teach it to them also, or explain it in such a way that they can then understand it, then that means that we really, really know it. We own it. We have full command of it. We have power when it comes to it. And here's the key with that. So it's not only a self test and a self verification and a self substantiation. When we can do that, it also leads to a very deep self confidence, because now you can say, you know what, I've proved to myself that I actually do know this. It's not just a belief. I've proved it. And that is really, really profound. And that is, again, how we raise our power. That's why we want that explain back, that repeat back. Very,
That
very huge. So there's multi layers to it. It's not just a simple thing, in other words.
it must do something to your brain too, the wiring in your brain. It must
Absolutely.
do that deeper.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're saying to somebody, hey, I've got something to teach you or something to share with you, or I want to explain this to you, the brain automatically says, they're not going to make this effort if it isn't important. Oh, this stuff must be important. Furthermore, it says, wow, you don't want to like make an ass of yourself, or, you don't want to sit there and waste people's time and be rude and inconsiderate and fumble about and not know what the hell you're saying. So your self-honesty and your integrity and your impeccability insists that you actually know it in order to be able to share it and explain it.
Oh, that's
You see,
interesting.
yeah, so we leverage this. A spirit warrior is a master of psychology, their own and everyone else's. Yeah, we have to be masters of our own psychology and understand how things work. So we realize that, that self-honesty and importance all works in that very simple way. But that's the key. So therefore, we're saying, if I can explain it to you, hey, then, and I really know this stuff, then I've got it and it's important. And my brain says yes, and it changes the wiring. And if I'm explaining it to you as if this is something profoundly significant, I'm saying to my brain, well, this is stuff that's profoundly significant. Don't ever forget it. And we reinforce and entrench that and lock it in, and it comes into our body. And I'm saying very specifically, some different understandings go into different parts of the body in a feeling. I don't know,
Right.
maybe for me, but when I really feel like I know something, it's like like you holding a big pot with your arms, circling it, and that's the pressure point right here, right? Where you
Ah.
grab a hold of something. For me, that feels like knowledge in the same way. So I feel it here on this kind of spot, right there.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very interesting, very interesting. But you have to feel
Yes.
your own body like that. But so we want to incorporate that knowledge to where we really feel it. Because again, and this is what I wanted you to write in your Dictionary of Power earlier. You may have written it before, but write it again. If we
Yeah.
don't feel it, it's not real.
Okay.
So
So true.
we want to take all of these understandings and knowings, and we want to feel them. We want to feel the fact that, hey, life and the world and the universe is this incredible, fantastic, awesome, sublime mechanism that is geared exquisitely and precisely to assisting us on our journey into awareness. When we feel that, it's a reality. How are you not going to relate to the world in that way? You don't have to remember to do so. You're just going to automatically do it, right?
Right.
Ah,
Cool.
very
When are
cool.
we meeting next?
Whenever you want to, whenever you got time and energy, I'm happy to do this as much as you like, as much as I have time to do. So, hey, what is today? Thursday.
And no,
We,
Thursday.
there's the Saturday morning thing, which hopefully more will show up to. And other than that, we
That?
whenever you want. You just when I'm on Facebook, or just text me either way. Just
Okay.
connect when you have a good time, when it's available for you, and then we do it. And if I can, I will. If not, okay, as soon as possible. So no problem.
Okay, cool.
I love this. I love this. I'll do this all day, Donna. I'll do this all day. And
Nice.
it's nice doing it with you specifically. I really, really enjoy it. It's a big thrill. And this is the thing that I try to tell you. I think I did say it actually when we had our first phone call. I said, it's not you taking the course from me. We do this course together. right? We do it.
Mhm.
I do it with you. So that's the thing. And you see how that is, right? We're doing it together. Yeah.
Right.
That's why it's such a
Yes.
joy. It's such a joy.
Right.
Very cool.
Very good. All right.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, Donna. Until next time, we'll see you.
Until next time.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes. All right. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.